Good morning. This is Bill from Auto Europa Naples on a very lovely Friday. It's actually not that lovely. It's humid as hell, but yeah, what are you going to do? I am back from vacation. We spent a very nice week down in the Keys, down in Cujo Key, hunting for lobsters. The little bastards do get faster every year, which is kind of annoying. It's kind of the same kind of phenomenon. The way my racing suit seems to get tighter. I think my girlfriend's shrinking it in the wash. You know, every season it just feels tighter and tighter, and I just don't understand it. But surely these lobsters in the off-season, they're working out, they're lifting little lobster weights, they're training, they're getting quicker, and it has nothing at all to do with my aging body. And I should say I'm not really happy to be back. If I have to be perfectly honest, I mean, you know, going down there just reminds me that I'd like to buy an Airstream trailer, you know, park it on a beach down there somewhere and not let anyone within rifle range. Just, you know, grow my toenails long and, you know, drink whiskey and, you know, tell everybody to, well, I won't say it, but anyway, the mortgage is due, so I'm back, and here I am, and I have this 2006 Chrysler SRT8. It's a 300C SRT8, I should probably point that out. And it is honestly and truly one of my favorite cars. You know, it's aged, you know, fairly gracefully. Of course, these 300s do have a bit of a stigma with the Bentley grille and all that kind of stuff, the loud rap music. The hell with that. You know, I'm always criticizing, you know, the sort of this country and the automakers for zeroing in on SUVs and forgetting all about sedans and wagons. So when a car company comes along and builds a car, a sedan, this good, then we better, you know, pay attention to it and better give it the credit that it is due. And this car is great. You know, it was a product of the collaboration between Mercedes-Benz and Chrysler at the time. The car has a host of Mercedes-Benz features in it, which have really helped it out in a variety of ways. And of course, the lunatics at the SRT division, the Street and Racing Technology division at Chrysler, they went to town on this thing. In many ways, I'm surprised that they were allowed to build it, because the car only cost back then, it wasn't cheap, 42 grand, probably this one was 46 the way it was stickered, but that's almost half of what an E55 Mercedes cost at the time, and this thing would keep up with it. It would in fact outbrake it. It wasn't quite as fast in acceleration, although it was very close, but it braked better than the E55, and it had a higher top speed. There's some debate, I couldn't figure it out. I looked up I did a lot of research on this thing, and it was either governed to 165 or ungoverned to 173. Either way, it's fast as hell, and nobody's probably going to get there. But either one of those numbers was faster than the E55's 155 mile an hour governed speed. The styling has become controversial. I don't think there was any controversy at the time. I think it was universally acclaimed as attractive. I mean, it is a sinister looking car. They gave it this very high belt line, you know, Dick Tracy style, very low greenhouse. It's like you're looking out of gun slits on the side with that low roof, even though it's taller than a lot of cars. It's taller than the E55, but they just made the belt line so high in it that it just doesn't look that way. Because it's the SRT, it has these 20-inch wheels. They look like the turbofans on a Boeing or something. Little lip spoiler in the back. You see those big twice pipes at the bottom, letting that Hemi breathe. And I think it's just a terrific looking car. Say what you will, you know, I know I'm going to get flack for that, but you know, it is. It's a great looking car, and I give credit to Chrysler for building it, you know. You have to put yourself in the context of the time. This was a car that, you know, Chrysler and Ford and Chevy might have built in the 70s or 60s, but there really wasn't stuff like that being built when it came out. I mean, 425 horsepower. You have to realize that even if that sounds not wild today in the world of, you know, 600 or 700 horsepower Cadillacs, a base Corvette had 400 horsepower in 2006 when this car emerged. So it was a very high horsepower machine at the time, and frankly, it still is today. You can see the very attractive front end treatment, good look at xenon light assemblies, color-coded grille in the front with big fog lights at the bottom and a very low air dam designed to hook onto parking curbs and make your day miserable, so be careful of that. And again, man, what a sinister looking car. I mean, when this thing pulls up, you're not really expecting someone to get out and do the good works of charity. You're expecting machine guns and, some kind of a gang fight, which I think is great. What else can I say about it before we get into it? Nothing. The hell with it. Let's just get into it. So we're going to go into the trunk. Press this button twice to open. Okay, in the trunk you have a ton of room, which is nice. This car does use the suspension almost verbatim from the same generation E-Class Mercedes when it came out, and thankfully it doesn't intrude on the trunk too much, that trailing link thing. So you get a pretty good area back here. You're going to be able to fit all your stuff in here without too much problems, golf clubs or, whatever it is you need to take with you. If you're a gang member, you're probably going to need some Mac 10s, you're going to need some Tech 9s, you're going to need maybe a few AKs, and of course some clips and magazines to put back in. So you're going to have room for all of that. You can see you also have a 60/40 folding back seat, which is quite nice, and that way you're going to be able to bring your long guns, your RPGs, that sort of thing. So you are not going to be ill-equipped at any, gang warfare struggle. The fit and finish, again, the car was 42 grand at a time when the E55 was almost twice that, so don't give it too much flack. Part of the joy of this car was that it was affordable. We ordered a new set of mats for it. It came in with 3 for some bizarre reason, and so we needed to get a 4th, and there it is. But anyway, in the trunk, everything nice, everything proper, the way it should be. I do believe we'll find the battery back here for weight distribution, a neat little place to put your keys of narcotics or syringes or whatever else you might need, and everything in great shape there. And again, I just love the trunk release guy. And look at this guy. He's leaping out. I mean, this really comes into play in a Chrysler 300 because I guarantee you people have, ridden in the trunk of this car. But there he is, pulled the release, leapt to safety, running away, and hopefully he gets away. There you see the SRT8 badges, pretty cool stuff. This one does have backup sensors, so you get those little, roundy, little stupid things in the bumper that beep when you're about to hit somebody. Kind of annoying. Again, if you're going to back up over a rival gang member, the thing's going to beep at you like crazy. Hey, I know, I want to hit him, Anyway, let's have a look under the hood. There he is, our detailer again. I guarantee he did a stupid job in this car, but I'm sure we'll find that as we go. All right, have a look under the hood. Now this is, if I can get in here, and I probably can't. Oh, for the love of God, where is the goddamn release? There it is. Everything is so hard one-handed. Here it is, a 6.1 liter tuned up Hemi in the car from Chrysler. Incredible engine. They took the standard 5.7 Hemi, they bumped it up like an additional 80 horsepower, all the way up to 425, 420 pound-feet of torque. And the way they did it was very traditional muscle car. They didn't dick around with any kind of VVT or, tuned variable intake runners, any of that stuff. What they did was they put a hot cam in it. They bumped up the displacement. They put on a, very nice intake manifold. They ported and polished the heads. They put lightweight valves in it, and they made it a beautiful, revving, lovely machine. It also, harkens back. Look at the red, the orange painted block. That's pretty cool and goes back to the original street Hemis. And of course the Hemi is a Chrysler and Dodge thing. It uses a hemispherical shaped head, which sort of increases combustion and efficiency and that sort of thing, and it's one of their trademarks, so pretty cool. I do believe whoever owned this, and it was a one-owner car, so the guy was obviously a bit of a hot rodder, put on this upgraded Mopar, cold air intake, which probably adds, I'd say nothing, or 3 horsepower, one of the two, but it looks pretty cool. Anyway, a fantastic motor under the hood of this thing, and beautifully tuned by the SRT guys for maximum performance. Very, very nice. See, it has a big sunroof up top, lovely. Okay, backseat passengers, you're Canadians, they're going to be pretty chipper. It's fine. Legroom is decent. You know, for a car that looks as big as it is, it really isn't giant. I mean, it's considered a full-size luxury car, but, you know, I think it shares a lot with a mid-size car, maybe an E-Class. Doesn't matter. That said, you got enough legroom, you're fine. Uses this really cool leather and suede-y thing in the SRTs. You know, the door panels... All right, look, here's the one drawback of this car, if you want to call it a drawback, because it may not be entirely fair. Again, I'd like to remind you that it cost way less than most other cars that it competed with at the time. The fit and finish of the car is good. It doesn't fall apart, you know, traditional Chrysler style. You have to remember the last rear-engine car they made, or so rear-engine, that's fantastic. The last rear-drive car that they made like this was the Diplomat and the Grand Fury in the 80s, and those things fell to pieces. This thing isn't going to fall to pieces, but the materials are not, you know, the most expensive in the world. They do a nice job with what they've got, you know, little plastic switches, all very muted and whatnot, but, you know, those of you who are looking for the, you know, luxuriousness of a Mercedes or Lexus, you're not going to find it here. But the good news is none of it's going to come to pieces, and that's the most important thing. So anyway, very comfy back there, nice place to be, no issues at all. Like the big 300C badges. Before I get in, you see those big brakes. They're over 14 inches in the front. They're by Brembo. They have aluminum calipers. And again, this thing will outbrake an E55 AMG. So that tells you something in a car that weighs well over 4,000 pounds, just how much work went into it. They lowered the suspension. They put in special Bilstein dampers. They put in special sway bars, all that sort of stuff. And again, for a car that in the old days wouldn't have handled very well, it would have just been a straight line machine. This thing does. It handles fantastically well and becomes a pretty fun car to take out on the twisty roads or the racetrack. Hard to believe about a sedan this size, but it's true. And it is fast. All right, up front, beautiful supportive SRT seats. Again, I love the suede and the leather. These seats are enough for me to forgive the, you know, the rest of the interior. They just look terrific, and they're very nice to sit in. So, anyway, let's just hop in this thing. I want to get the air conditioning going. All right, you hear that big Hemi fire to life. Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Turn down the fan a little bit. 0 to 60 time, under 5 seconds. Quarter mile time in the low 13s. I mean, this thing is a rocket ship and would run all the way up to, you know, if true, 173, at least 165. So pretty friggin' fast. Here you see I've got I'm glad I'm getting this on video, because I've been having an argument with our mechanic over this. Every time I get in this car and fire it up, I get a stupid tire pressure warning. And every time he gets in it and fires it up, he doesn't. And he tells me that it's some kind of user error. He called it an ID10T error, which really makes me want to kill him. But anyway, there it is, Jason. There it is. Right rear, passenger rear, not working. Problem is, it'll start working in a minute. Over here, you've got your automatic headlights. A lot of the systems in this car came directly out of Mercedes-Benz and the collaboration with Chrysler. Even if this switch doesn't look like a Mercedes, it's essentially the same thing. Ditto the window switches. There it is. You see the TPS went off, so it figured it out. It started reading it. God, that pisses me off. Anyway, okay, very nicely laid out instrument cluster. If it were night, you'd see that it lights up in a pretty funky color, kind of cool. You got your 180 mile an hour speedo. You got your fuel gauge, obviously. You got your TAC, which has a red line of over $6,000. And you know what's funny about this motor, this tuned Hemi, the 6.1, is it runs and feels lighter than the lower than the lower displacement Hemi. You know, when you let off the gas, you get almost no engine braking at all. It's like killing the afterburners on an F-15. You just coast. And I think that has something to do with the way they set it up with the cam, the lightweight valves, that sort of thing. Just zero engine braking at all. So thank God the thing does have good brakes. You got, of course, your temp over there. That's all you need. Very nice steering wheel. A little bit ornate and silly with the chrome and the different kinds of leathers and the Chrysler badge facing you, but it's fine. What's this thing? I don't know, that'll go through some sort of driver information, but I don't know where the hell it is. Anyway, multi-function controls for whatever you need. It's got a power column, all very lovely. Over here you've got an analog clock, the one thing that apparently every luxury car has to have. You've got, I'm gonna turn our lights off so you can see this. You got your in-dash, you have to enter for the lawyers. Navigation, that sort of thing. What do we have in the radio? Commercials, obviously. Always commercials. Let's see what else we got. Adult hits. Madonna is not an adult hit. I don't really think I need to say that. Anyway, up here you've got a self-dimming mirror with, all kinds of automatic settings. You got a little place to put your Serengeti drivers. You got a big power sunroof up top. Very, very nice. Works good. Let's close that and keep the humidity out. It's also got glass, as you can see. Visibility, good enough. Again, a little bit weird because of that low belt line, but that's the price you pay for having, pretty stylish looks. Do we have a backup camera? I don't think so. We got the beepers. We got heated seats. We got a little ashtray that I can't get open, a little place to put a switchblade, Mercedes-style gated shifter in Chrysler form. This is not intuitive to me, this manual shifting stuff. You see, I pushed it to the left and now I'm in first gear and I can bang my way through the gears. This is the 5-speed from the Mercedes. It's really a bulletproof, great transmission, but I am not going to be bothered shifting it myself. It's a good enough transmission that it knows what gear it wants to be in. You got some cup holders there, nice spot where the detailer didn't bother cleaning. In here you got a 12-volt outlet, I don't know, whatever else. You got an ashtray. And again, the material's not super expensive looking, but good enough. And certainly good enough for a bargain price of 42 grand back in the day. You've got assisted recirculating. It's not a recirculating ball, it's rack and pinion steering. Feels nice, a little bit heavy, even in the parking lot, but gives you pretty good feedback on the road. We'll see how I did on the windshield. I was extra bitchy about that yesterday, so our windshields are always terrible. And you know what? Here's the neat thing. The car, despite its, high horsepower, despite its lowered suspension, it actually feels pretty refined when you're just driving it around, like on your way to the grocery store. Even though it's the kind of car that sort of encourages you to break traffic laws and to, make mortal cars look like they're going in reverse when you're next to them. If you're just driving it nice and pretty, it's not going to hurt you too bad. It's going to be a nice, smooth, luxury ride. That's why I think this car would be terrific as a car for somebody who wants a sports car but needs a sedan. I mean, if you can only have one car, but you want to go around the twisty roads and, have mad acceleration, then this is a great one to have. It just sort of does it all for you at a pretty damn reasonable price. I'm stuck in traffic, that's right. I let the engine heat up a little bit. Very comfy seats, I gotta say, good bolstering, nice feel from the rump. It just feels good. There's that instant torque and response. Listen to that thing. Wow. I mean, a cacophony of V8 sound. Beautiful. Just throws your head back. I wish I could continue all the way to the 173 mark because I know it hits 100, hits 110. It just keeps pulling. It just keeps pulling. God, SRT did a great job on this motor. And the sound quality, it's perfect. Again, I mean, you know, it's downright civilized when you're just driving around, but when you nail it, you get this fury from under the hood that's just, you know, very nicely piped into the cabin and lets you know that you've got the horsepower that you want. Where's our traction control? Let's turn that off. Yeah, that's more appropriate. We'll try to avoid the police this morning. You know, you can steer this car with your throttle. SRT. Oh, yeah. Oh, man. And then the big brakes. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. God, I love this car. So what the hell was I getting into? Anyway, SRT tuned the traction control so it's not quite as nanny-ish as it is in the standard 300C. What the hell am I getting into? Jeez Louise. Yeah, it lets you kick the tail out. It gives you a little more room to do donuts in the Walmart parking lot. You can, you know, yeehaw Dukes of Hazzard style all around. And goddamn, is it a lot more fun. Anyway, there it is. To me, this is one of the greatest cars. I think it's going to be collectible. I think now is a pretty good time to get one. They're kind of undervalued. 2006 Chrysler 300C SRT8. A very important car in its time and a very desirable car in its time and today. Genuinely. I just absolutely love it. It's a car I'd like to have myself. If you have an interest, give us a call, 239-298-8000, on the web at aenaples.com. Thank you so much for having a look. We appreciate it. We'll see you with the next one. Take care.